Hello, seniors during a pandemic, and welcome to today's virtually recorded class. What's on the docket for today? Well, like most days, you can go and watch CNN 10. Obviously, we can't have our normal discussion about it, but what it is interesting and what does apply to us that CNN 10 is talking about today is the fact that there are two Senate runoff races in Georgia. So what it looks like is going to happen is that the Democrats have won 48 seats in the Senate and the Republicans have won 50, and there are two seats still undetermined, both in Georgia. So they will have what's called a runoff election in December, where those seats will be decided. That is part of the recount in Georgia. While they're recounting Biden and Trump votes, they are also recounting Senate votes, but we'll likely still see a runoff because in Georgia you have to get a majority of the votes. So they will hold that again, and that will be pretty major. The news will also talk about how they certify an election and how it becomes completely official. Biden right now is the projected winner. He is considered president-elect, but it's not a completely certified election yet. They'll also talk about a controversial traffic project near the ancient monument and a new mission to the International Space Station. So go ahead, watch that. Always kind of interesting. And you can pause me and do that. Or what else we are doing is part of this today. So this amendment scenarios for Monday's class, we will do 1, 2, and 3. Tuesday's class will be, I guess I can make this question 4 for it. Okay, so you're not expected to do all of this on Monday, but we will do some of it together right now because it's a pretty good case. Alright, so we'll start with one of my favorite court cases here. And it says, in 2002, during the Olympic torch relay, this kid named Joseph Frederick held up a sign that read, "Bong hits for Jesus," across from TV cameras. So here's what it looked like. These kids, I don't know why Joseph Frederick was the only one that got in trouble for this, but during the torch relay with President Bush coming by, they made and unrolled this sign that said "Bong hits for Jesus." And Joseph Frederick, at least, was immediately suspended for 10 days. Pretty severe punishment, but then again, he held up a sign that read "Bong hits for Jesus" across from television cameras next to his school. So, what happened is then Joseph Frederick decided to sue his principal who gave him this punishment. And the principal, Deborah Morse, then they took that case first to a circuit court, and the circuit court actually decided in Joseph Frederick's favor, and they said that no, he shouldn't have been suspended. Deborah Morse then appeals, and the court case goes to the Supreme Court for the Supreme Court to decide whether or not somebody can hold up in front of their school a sign that reads "Bong hits for Jesus." Don't you just love America? Wow, only in America. So what this wants you to do is first, which amendment does this court case apply to? Spoken words, written words. I think that one will be pretty self-explanatory for you. Question B here is, what is the precedent for this case? List all cases on your list of 42 that apply and describe how they apply. So first, you likely put First Amendment here, be the right answer. So put any First Amendment cases in this blank that you think would act as a precedent. What court cases did we talk about that either says yes, students are allowed to say and or have a symbol that means something, or what court cases did we see that said no, students' freedom of speech is limited inside a school, especially at a school event? The last question here is, if you were a Supreme Court judge, how would you rule on this case? How would you rule? Should the kid have been suspended? Are they allowed to do that? Now, the Supreme Court ended up having only a 5-4 decision. It was very, very close. You can pull it up here in Morse versus Frederick so you can see who voted which way. But Roberts, Scalia, Kennedy, Thomas, and Alito, Kennedy always being that fun swing vote, they decided to reverse the Ninth Circuit Court ruling, and school officials. So Justice Roberts then said, students do have some rights to political speech even while in school. This right does not extend to pro-drug messages that may undermine the school's important mission to discourage drug use. So they said, no, Frederick. Yes, you do have a freedom of speech, but in school that can be limited, and they're saying it can especially be limited when it comes to pro-drug messages. And I do think we can all agree that Bong Hits for Jesus might not be the most politically driven message to begin with. So here, all you're doing is putting what you think the opinion should be. This next court case was one that was bigger during the Kaepernick kneeling time in America. So it says, during the national anthem at their high school football game, 16-year-old Cedric Ingram Lewis raised his fist in the air while his teammate Larry McCullen kneeled. McCullen was 18 years old. Both student athletes were previously warned that if they demonstrated, they would be kicked off the team. Their coach followed through, suspending both players. So first question again, which amendment would this apply to? And then what is the precedent for this case? List any of the 42 that apply. And C, if you were a Supreme Court judge, how would you rule on this case? The last one I completely made up because it was fun. So it says, both state and federal police were called to a home with a report of domestic violence. When they arrived, the couple allows them into their kitchen to discuss the matter. One of the federal cops uses the bathroom. However, feeling curious, he opens the medicine cabinet and finds a block of heroin. At the same time, a state cop in the kitchen opens a flour canister and finds a stolen gun. A third state trooper looks out the window and sees a grave with a dead body. What amendment does this apply to? And then for each officer, so the state cop and the federal cop and the state trooper, what is the precedent for each of them? What court cases apply for them? Will that evidence be admissible is kind of the question we're getting at. So that is it for today. You're answering those 3 questions, watching CNN 10. Please let me know if you have any questions over this. We will be finishing this document with question 4 on Tuesday, so I'll make another video explaining question 4. Thanks.